The submersible Orpheus III detached from its mothership at 03:47 hours.
Inside the pressure hull, specialist Dr. Sarah Chen and pilot Marcus Volkov began their descent into the abyss. The first life they encountered was a siphonophore, a creature of light in the permanent night.
The hull sang a song of stressed metal, a familiar melody to experienced pilots.
This was the Midnight Zone, a realm where life adapted to extremes that would obliterate surface creatures. Their only connection to the surface world was a digital umbilical, transmitting compressed data bursts. They passed through marine snow, the constant rain of death and decay that feeds the world below.
Their target was not on the plane. It was on an isolated seamount, a volcanic spike rising from the abyssal floor.
Volkov began the final approach, reducing speed as the seabed rose to meet them. The wreck had become a reef, an island of hard substrate in a desert of soft sediment.
The classified documents placed the treasure in hold number 3, precisely where the ship had broken apart.
They searched methodically, their sonar looking for a specific signature, the dense echo of precious metal.
At the edge of the third spiral, the computer flagged an anomaly. The signature of gold.
There it was, row upon row of gold bars, resting in a tomb of stone and cold water.
3 years of research, 17 previous expeditions. It all culminated in this silent moment.
Chen activated the manipulator. The claw closed around history and lifted. This cache represented half the lost fortune, 20 tons of gold, waiting in the dark. Their work here was done. Now began the delicate ballet of bringing the treasure home. They halted for final checks, suspended between the abyss and the world they had left behind. They halted for final checks, suspended between the abyss and the world they had left behind.
The smell of salt and diesel replaced the recycled air. They had returned with proof.
The next morning, their robotic proxy, Hercules, began its 3-hour dive to the site.
Senior pilot James Okonkwo guided Hercules with surgeon's hands, facing a 3-second delay with every command. Hercules' task was to position the lifting frame, a basket strong enough to hold a fortune.
The work continued for hours, then days.
Patience was the only currency that mattered here. The work continued for hours, then days. Patience was the only currency that mattered here.
When the frame held 200 bars, the signal was given. The lift began.
When the frame held 200 bars, the signal was given. The lift began.
Hercules escorted the treasure upward, watching for snags through 3 kilometers of black water. At 500 meters, daylight began to filter down. The gold was returning to the world of light.
The deck crew worked with coordinated precision. One slip could be catastrophic.
The first load was home. The impossible had been made routine.
The processing began immediately. Each bar was a piece of a $6 billion puzzle.
Each bar was documented. Its unique identity, lost since 1945, was re-entered into the world.
Each bar was documented. Its unique identity, lost since 1945, was re-entered into the world.
There was no celebration. Not yet. Only the quiet understanding of a...
There was no celebration. Not yet.
Only the quiet understanding of a...
6 more lifts followed over 2 weeks. Each recovery tested their technology and their nerve.
6 more lifts followed over 2 weeks. Each recovery tested their technology and their nerve.
The final lift rose on a morning of flat, gray calm. It carried the last recoverable bars from the accessible cache.
The final lift rose on a morning of flat, gray calm. It carried the last recoverable bars from the accessible cache.
1,446 bars, 18 tons of gold, the physical proof of their success.
Chen felt the weight of it. Not just the metal, but the history, the effort, the vanished ship and crew. Chen felt the weight of it. Not just the metal, but the history, the effort, the vanished ship and crew.
This gold had waited in darkness for 48 years. It would outlive them all.
Chen stepped into the cold night air. Above, the stars. Below, the ocean, still holding its secrets. Chen stepped into the cold night air. Above, the stars. Below, the ocean, still holding its secrets.
They had won this round against the abyss. But the ocean remained, patient and immense.
The adrenaline had faded, leaving behind a profound quiet. The magnitude of their task settled in their bones.
The archaeologist in her couldn't let go. The wreck was more than a treasure site. It was a war grave, an ecosystem. The ship's name, almost consumed by the sea.
At dawn, the Northwind would leave the site. Their work here was finished.
Disengage, DP. Slow ahead east.
The ship turned its back on the seamount, on the scattered gold that remained, on the wreck now returning to silence.
The final inventory was confirmed. 1,446 ingots. Not one bar lost.
The treasure was sealed away. A dragon's hoard in a steel belly for the voyage home.
The voyage back was a decompression of its own. A transition from the world of the deep to the world of men.
The primary cache is recovered. The site is documented. We're en route. The news began its journey to the world.
The story broke before they reached port. The weight of fortune was about to be replaced by the weight of attention.
They returned to the city where the Gold's journal had begun, 78 years before. The circle was closing.
The gold was crated, sanitized for transport. Its raw, gleaming beauty hidden from view. Each crate held a king's ransom. Together, they were a historical correction, a financial earthquake.
The fortune rolled away, headed for federal vaults, legal hearings, and the ledger books of investors.
There were contracts to fulfill, bonuses to secure, non-disclosure agreements to sign. The business of adventure.
Chen stepped onto solid ground that seemed to move beneath her. A sailor's legs, expecting the sea.
The ship would be stripped of its purpose, converted back to a standard research vessel. The Orpheus Thury would be removed.
The world wanted a piece of her story. It was already being packaged, commodified. She returned to the only truth that felt real anymore, the quiet, beautiful hostility of the deep.
Reverse culture shock was a real phenomenon. The abyss had been more comprehensible than this.
So tell me, how much did you actually find? Was it heavy?
She found she had no words for the treasure, only for the black water.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
I do. The legal battle over the gold would last years. Her testimony was a key piece of evidence.
As you can see on the bathymetric map, the sonar returns indicate significant variations in the sediment layers at this depth.
We couldn't have done it without you.
She was praised for her precision, her coolness under pressure. They valued the scientist. They didn't know the rest.
Life moved on. The gold was settled, the funds distributed. She had security, prestige, a career cemented.
She taught the next generation. She spoke of preservation, of history, of the ocean as a museum, rarely of gold.
It felt heavy, heavy.
The gold was a footnote. The ocean was the story. It had allowed them a glimpse, then closed over the secret once more.
One bar was set aside, preserved as evidence, as artifact. Its serial number, A734, 1945.
3,000 meters below this placid surface, the wreck of the Aurelia continues its slow dissolution. The fortune left behind became just another part of the landscape, substrate for creatures that know nothing of value. New proposals, new depths. The call of the unexplored remained, stronger than the call of any treasure. Two forms of weight. One measured in troy ounces and market ticks, the other measured in pressure.
I never dreamed of gold. I dreamed of the quiet. The kind of quiet you only find 3 kilometers down.
In that sphere, with Marcus, there was no fear, just focus. The abyss demanded nothing less than everything.
That creature, it was the first sign we weren't in a void. We were in a living world. You can come back to the surface. But part of you stays down there. I bought a boat. Not for treasure. For the water.
We were a crew for a moment. That's a rare thing. You don't get many of those in a lifetime.
New questions need answering. Not about gold, about geology, about life at the chemosynthetic vents.
The gold funded my research for a decade.
The irony isn't lost on me.
Fortune from the deep paying to understand the deep.
The funding's secure. The ship is ready. I just need a team that isn't afraid of the dark.
We need agile minds for this project.
My team developed the navigation system you reviewed.
It's impressive, but can we optimize the thrusters by Q3?
Marcus, I'm putting a team together. For pure science, no treasure.
The Aegean isn't the North Wind, Sarah.
I know. But the ocean's the same.
Now we're straight here, Swan.
James said he was done with remote ops. Said he wanted to feel the sea spray again. I believe the first part.
Just my hands and my brain. They still work.
The Aegean was being transformed, not into a treasure hunter, but into a messenger, a probe into the unknown.
We named her Curie, for the pioneer who understood invisible forces. The deep is full of those.
This was different. No corporate backers, no lawyers waiting, just the work. The beautiful, difficult work.
The current here is tricky. Curie will get pushed.
We approach from the east. Use the canyon wall as a buffer.
We sailed with lighter hearts. The goal wasn't a fixed point on a map. It was understanding.
The weight of fortune was gone. All that remained was the weight of curiosity. And that we could carry. Our target wasn't a seamount, but a crack in the continental shelf. A window into the Earth's crust. Curie dove not for wealth, but for whispers. The chemical whispers from hydrothermal vents.
The descent was familiar, the blue giving way to twilight, then to black. But the purpose was entirely new.
Curie dove not for wealth, but for whispers. The chemical whispers from hydrothermal vents.
The descent was familiar. The blue giving way to twilight, then to black. But the purpose was entirely new.
There, the signal. Life at these depths doesn't run on sunlight. It runs on chemistry.
There it is.
It was more alien, more beautiful than any treasure. A whole ecosystem built on a lie of the sun.
Our task was to listen, to sample, to learn. to be guests in this harsh, magnificent garden. This was the true wealth of the deep. Not inert metal, but life that defies every rule of the surface. We didn't say much. The images on the screens had said it all. We had seen something few humans ever would.
This was enough. This connection. This shared wonder. This was the fortune that could—
The ocean gives us what we seek. If we seek treasure, we find gold. If we seek understanding, we find life itself. The data was the real payload. Each dive answered old questions and posed a dozen new ones.
Better than staring at a monitor in a van.
infinitely.
It wasn't gold. It was a new form of life. A thread in the deep web we hadn't seen before.
The celebration wasn't for money. It was for knowledge, a different kind of wealth, shared equally.
This was the surface I wanted to return to. Not just land. This feeling.
We came back with samples and hard drives full of data. No fanfare, just the satisfaction of work well done. These boxes held something more fragile and potentially more valuable than any metal.
She's a good boat.
She is. Next run in 6 weeks. The Juan de Fuca Ridge.
The bacteria's genome was a map of survival, a blueprint for life in the impossible dark.
Look at these repair enzymes. They could have applications. Bioremediation, maybe even medicine.
The Deep's gifts. I come here once a year to remember that our victory was built on their tragedy.
The ocean keeps what it wants. It gave us the metal. It kept the men.
Our horizons expanded. The vents of the Juan de Fuca led to the seeps of the Aleutian Trench.
The Gold's legacy wasn't a life of leisure. It was a life of deeper inquiry. It bought us time and tools.
They give you awards for discovery. They rarely give them for the questions that keep you up at night.
We went looking for fortune. We found something far more valuable, our ignorance.
Dr. Chen, how do I get to do what you do?
Learn to love the questions more than the answers.
I saw myself in her.
The ocean tests you. It tested us with pressure and darkness. Now it tested us with wind and wave.
The Curie's secure. She'll ride it out.
This is why they pay us the big bucks!
In that moment, there was no past, no future. Just the boat, the crew, and the storm.
And then, peace. The ocean's anger spent as quickly as it arose. We had passed the test.
You don't get moments like this in a control van. You only get them out here, in the teeth of it.
The rituals are simple. Food, drink, shared silence. The currency of those who go down to the sea in ships.
This was the meditation. The ship humming beneath you, the universe laid out above, the unseen deep below. The ecosystem here was different. A slow, cold leak of energy, sustaining life on a geological timescale.
This was another secret. Not fiery and dramatic, but slow and icy. Just as vital.
Their symbionts must be completely different.
I saw the next generation catching the fever.
The relentless, beautiful curiosity.
The Fortune became a foundation. It built ships, funded students, bought tools to ask better questions. For all the secrets you'll bring back to us.
The crew had scattered to the winds, seeding other ships, other expeditions. The work continued.
I kept the Aegean for the quiet days, to remember where it started.
The weight of fortune had been transformed. It was no longer a burden. It was ballast. It kept me steady.
To the Chen, may your journeys into the deep sea reveal the wonders of chemosynthetic life and inspire the next generation.
The call never ends. There is always another depth, another trend.
Two ships, two crews, separated by decades and purpose, bound forever by the same sea.
The ritual begins each day with the sea. Not to conquer it, but to remember.
My legacy wouldn't be in vaults. It would be in the minds of those who look deeper because we showed them how.
The deep sea taught us that life is stubborn, ingenious, and exists in places we once called impossible. The headline was a footnote. The real story was written in data points and the careers of young scientists.
The past had a way of sending echoes, rarely good ones, in my experience.
It was a face, one of the 123 names on the memorial plaque. He was someone's Henry.
You brought him home in a way we never could. Thank you.
The work continues, but the scale changes. Sometimes the most important depth is just beneath the surface.
Aren't you the treasure hunter?
I'm an oceanographer. The treasure was a happy accident.
The resources in the deep are not just minerals. They are libraries of life, archives of our planet's history. We must tread lightly.
Because I saw what was there. I learned the difference between taking a lot and destroying a living place.
Hard to believe there's something more beautiful down there.
It's a different kind of light, just as real.
The most important entries aren't about what we found. They're about what we felt, what we wondered.
The ocean endures. It offers moments of breathtaking beauty, reminders of a scale that dwarfs human endeavors.
The ambition had burned down to a steady, warm glow. The need to prove something was gone.
From the abyss, we are just fleeting shadows, brief disturbances in the eternal night. Then we are gone.